This is our last presentation of the day. What's new at New Capital? And the answer is quite a lot. But before we get to what's new, I want to talk about what's old. Really, that's not the best way to put it. Not what's old, but what's already going on. And for clients here who are new, relatively new, and also for those of you who've heard about these things before, just to remind you, because you may not have been interested before, but now you might be. Kevin and Jason were just up here. We have our ProNet Professionals database, where we continually add professionals to it. And you all have a particularly important role to play. If you know professionals that you feel are really good and that other clients would benefit from knowing about, let us know about them. We're always being asked, do you have a good this or a good that? And you would think that we would just always be able to say, oh yeah, it's not that simple. You know, it's just not that simple. Good professionals, really good professionals, who do everything well. You know, the client service aspect of it well, the knowledgeability aspect of it, pricing. There's so many things that have to go right. You know, for a professional to be referable. So if you have people you work with, and it can be a cardiologist, you know, for example. It can be a physician. It can be a therapist. Anybody who you think would be at home in our database, we would really like to know about. Our planning center is on our website. I always want to remind people of that. This is a reference library of financial planning articles, searchable. We use this all the time, so we'll get called for and asked about something. What about a grantor trust? And a lot of encyclopedic material is available on our planning center on the website. So we just want to remind everybody that that resource is available. Our quarterly webinars that we do, just reminding everybody that we're happy to have you on those. And so when the invite comes, you know, if it matches up with your calendar, we do what we can to make them informative and interesting, and happy to have you on those. We still have our affiliation with the DPL Insurance Network, which is a network that of registered investment advisors, where they are putting together consulting and offering solutions in things like life insurance, annuities, disability insurance, long-term care insurance. So we have a really good back office capability. If those are areas where you think that there are some holes in your picture, we can put them to work on it and have them come back and see if they can give us some answers. Guideline is a 401k plan provider. If you have a company and you have a 401k plan at your company, we really like this provider. We use this plan ourselves. We liked it so much that we are now able to offer it to our clients. Very inexpensive compared to most offerings, and the funds that they're using are inexpensive, put out by the likes of Vanguard and DFA. And so when you combine the less expensive 401k wrapper with the less expensive funds, it can add up to a lot of savings for your company and your employees. As a business owner, I can tell you I really like it. We like the plan. They've got a really, heads are nodding. It's got a good mobile app. And so, you know, everybody young likes that these days, where you can check your account balance and so on. So we really like this, and we can help you implement this. We've helped several of our client companies implement the 401k plan. Strata Trust, this is a self-directed IRA. There is interest every so often from clients in using IRA money to invest in non-standard types of investments, like a private real estate investment or a private company investment or some sort of loan And you can't do that in a regular IRA where you're limited only to investing in stocks, publicly traded stocks and bonds. And Strata Trust gives us the ability, if you have IRA money that you want to use for something out of the ordinary, venture capital investment or a startup company, you can do that with a self-directed IRA account, and we work with Strata Trust to do that. So if you have anything like that, we can help you with that. Medicare back office is a group that we work with. So those of you who are either in Medicare and need to make some adjustments or get some advice or approaching Medicare age, this is a group that we can get good answers from and help get you set up right, whether that's with Medicare itself or getting some advice on any sort of outside policy that will work with Medicare. And then, of course, our Zoom meetings. We're going to talk about meetings and how we're doing meetings in a second. But we started, of course, doing a lot more Zoom meetings during 2020 and into 2021. We're going to keep doing that. That's really worked well. And so if you want to have meetings with us, but you don't want to come into the office, we are more than happy to continue to do that. So take advantage of that. Sorry, cybersecurity. And we're doing a lot in cybersecurity. So if you feel like you've got vulnerabilities, we can help give you some advice about how to lock down your devices. So lean on us to do that, because as far as we're concerned, we're in the cybersecurity business. We're dealing with it all day long. And so if you feel like whatever you've got going on your phone or at home, you're not sure, feel free to ask us and we'll see what we can do to help. This is kind of big news. Why are we here today? We're going to move our office, or at least I'm told we are. I signed a lease to do it. But we like our office and have been in that complex for a long time. But we're ready for a change for several reasons. The building we're in today is the same landlord of this building. This is 3355 West Alabama. And Granite Properties owns the building, and they're really a fine property manager. And this building has a gym in it on the first floor, so I can get some exercise, easily. Sometimes, some days, I've only got 45 minutes, and so and I can go to JC and Catherine can go down there. And when you come in for a meeting to meet with us, you can use the gym too. We're gonna put you on the treadmill. And it also has a nice husband and wife who have a deli on the first floor. And there are days that we don't get lunch just because we don't have time to run out or have it brought in. So this will be nice to have that. And we're building out our space there. It hasn't started because there are delays in the city of Houston in permits with all the construction backlogs and the labor shortages. We were expecting that we were going to be in there maybe December 1. It's now looking like maybe January of 2022. I wouldn't be surprised to hear February. It starts getting to March and April. We'll see what happens. But we expect it will be very comfortable. We've been very proud of our offices, and I think everybody really enjoys coming to our office. We get a lot of compliments on it. It's going to be the same sort of setup, and you'll be equally comfortable there. So it's at Buffalo Speedway in West Alabama. And for those of you who live west of town, we think that's going to be easier to get to. People in the Tanglewood area, Memorial area, but it's not going to compromise anybody coming from the Heights or from West University or even from the Montrose area or any other part of the city. And again, Granite Properties is the landlord, and we will have an open house when we finally get it done, and we'll look forward to having you there for some wine and hors d'oeuvres. We've been talking about having some sort of social reception. Is there an interest in that? We do this is all informational, but sometimes it's good to just get together and have some fun. So if there's interest in that, did we ask about that?
Yeah, actually, I was going to mention, we've got all of the things that we've previously done or continuing to do, and then we have a lot of new annual perspective initiatives. On the evaluation survey, there's two questions. One is, what are the older or existing projects that you are most interested in, and what are the new or prospective projects you're most interested in? So this one is one that it's really conceptual at this point, but if you all are interested, we would love to do it. So, so that's one way you can indicate if you would like to attend or like to visit socially.
Let us know. We don't want to do it if people like
Right.
we'll leave. Say it again, Rob?
It'd give us a chance to talk about it.
Yeah. So maybe springtime, something like that. Workplace retirement management. This is a big deal because we get asked all the time to help with client workplace retirement accounts, 401ks, 403bs. There are all sorts of different incarnations of what essentially is a tax-deferred retirement plan. And our ability to help with those until recently was more limited. It was quite limited because the plan is administered at your workplace. The login is part of that plan. We are not supposed to take possession of your login and your password because we would be deemed by the Securities and Exchange Commission to have custody of it, and they don't want that. And so you had to bring your statement in, and then you have to get the menu, and everybody's like, I don't know where the menu is, and they got to go to the HR group, and then you bring it in, and we got to print it out, and then I'll make some markings on it, give it to you. You've got to go back, you've got to make the trades. It's a pain. There is a system that we are using now where you can put your credentials in, and we can actually make trades in your 401k or 403b. We can see all the options on our screen. We can see what the fees are, and we can manage your 401k and integrate your 401k into all the rest of your money. So it matches and works with it. You get the idea. And so it's great. This is a really, really big deal because we no longer feel as impotent to be able to help you with this thing that's a really, really big deal to a lot of people. And so it will work with held away accounts. I first tried it on my guideline account. I was talking about my guideline, our guideline 401k plan, and I tested it on mine, and I was quite impressed. It had holdings there. It would let me make adjustments to it. It even told me what the fees are, so I could. So we'll know what the fees on your funds are, so we can pick the funds that are the better fees. Stay away from those things that aren't as good. The credentials management is very well. By the way, the guy who started this company was one of the founders of Waze. Right, what Waze is? The traffic is an Israeli company and Google. And so they're using their technological wizardry in the area of 401ks. One of the Israeli founders of Waze started this because they saw this as a problem. Advisors are not able to help clients. So we can do rebalancing of your 401k, trading of it. We can review your investment options, and we can see what the fees are. So we can see what's going to be the best option. We can integrate the reporting. Yes, Dave?
Does that work with those CREF accounts?
Yeah, I think it will. Yeah, it should work.
You can
with
look at CREF?
It should work with TIA CREF, yeah. Pretty sure it'll do that, yeah. And then we can do, it'll report with all the reports we give you on your other stuff. It'll report fully with that. And so it's a really good thing. And then the fee that we get paid is simply an extension of the fee that you're already paying us. You will get the advantage of aggregating your 401k with your other assets, which gets you a lower basis point fee with us. We don't pass any of the fees that we pay to the FeeX company. We absorb all of that. It was a big decision. I had to decide, do I pass those fees on or pay them? We're going to pay them. So all the fees they charge us, we pay. So we think it's a good deal for clients, and this is going over pretty big with other advisors as well. So if you're interested in that, check that on the evaluation. It's a big thing. We have a next gen program now that we have been working on, a next generation services program. We want to be able to help your near adult children, your young adult children. And we've been doing a lot of meetings. Oftentimes this happens when a child becomes a young adult. They have an account that you may have put in place for them, a UTMA account or an education account. And then what we've noticed is that parents are often a little nervous to turn those accounts over to the 20-year-old. And oftentimes the 20-year-old doesn't even know that it exists. And so we're really being leaned on to have those initial sort of difficult conversations with the young adult where we say, hey, you've got this money coming into your name, and we want to talk with you about what it means and how you might go about managing it, how you might use this money. And so we're trying to act in sort of a mentorship capacity with your young adults who might be college age, 18 to 22, they might be postgraduate, 22 to 28, early in their careers, or even early families. We know it's not always easy to talk about money with your adult children. And so we want to help foster those conversations so that you can see that the young adults in your family will take some responsibility for financial management and will develop some skills and some good thinking around money during these years, these really, really critical years, so that you don't wind up with a bigger problem later in life. Does that make sense? This is what we're trying to do. And so what we do is we do meetings. Typically, they're over Zoom. Recently, it's been me and JC, so that it's not just somebody who's got now an almost completely gray beard on the call with them, someone who is young and vibrant like they are, and it goes well. We sort of tag team it, and we have fun. We like to have those discussions. And we will aggregate their accounts with the entire family, so they get those benefits in terms of fees and reporting. And we'll send them books too. Catherine has a book program going, so when they graduate from college or high school, get married, Catherine's got a whole calendar going where we send a book. We've got a library where we know that this is a good book to send them at the time that they graduate, and we'll send them the book with a nice recommendation, just to let them know that we're here, and so that they're not just floating around thinking, oh, it's money and I don't have any help. We want them to know that we're there to be able to be helpful. Questions about our next generation stuff? Okay. Money mindfulness meditations, also known as Some of you know I'm a longtime practitioner of meditation, and increasingly there are, and I wanted to do this for a couple of years, there are all sorts of different kinds of approaches to meditation. And one of them that is becoming very popular and it is a major approach is a practice around gratitude and abundance. And a lot of us walk around with fear around money and uncertainty around money. And there are practices, ancient practices, to cultivate wiser and more centered approaches about money, where you have a meditation where you focus you focus on feelings of gratefulness and feelings of gratitude and thinking about your money as an abundance rather than something that you lack. And it's very, very effective. And so I would lead these. They would be Zoom-based. We're not going to get together in rooms or anything. It's just something that I would lead, and increasingly we're seeing these sorts of meditations. There are now Insight Meditation is one, and I forgot the names, but anyway, there are a bunch of them. It's non-denominational. It's totally not affiliated with any religious anything, and it's non-religious, not deistic at all. It's just trying to get people centered. If you're interested in this, I'd like to know, because I don't want to do it if people aren't interested. Sort of short little 30-minute or 20-minute thing. I would lead it, and you could probably get it going on your own, but it's something I would start. Yes, Dave?
Quickly, is this something that you would do one-on-one with individuals?
No, it would be a group. Yeah, it would be like a webinar sort of thing, and ask people to take a quiet place, and then I would do sort of it'd be a guided meditation. That's what it would be. Okay, meetings. Meetings really changed for us last year when nobody could come in to be with us. And so we did a lot of Zoom meetings. We're back and people are coming in again. Not everybody, but quite a few people. We're very, very busy with meetings. And one thing we noticed is that when we tried to do an annual review, it's hard to cover the three different areas that we could potentially address: advising, planning, financial planning, and investing. We can't do all three in one meeting. It would be a 5-hour meeting. And so what we've decided to do is go to meeting mode. So when you come in to see us on, let's say, an annual basis or we're going to ask you to tell us, what do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on advisory? Sometimes that's where the need is. You've got something going on. Maybe there's some asset you want to purchase and you want to talk about it. Or there's a family member who's not well and you want to talk about that. Whatever it is, that's advisory. Maybe you want to do a focus on financial planning. You want us to run projections using our financial planning software. Am I getting close to retirement? Am I going to be okay? This happened, and how does that impact my financial security? Or you want to focus on your investments. I want to look at what returns are. I want to see how things went last year. I want to make some changes to it. I'm not sure about my risk tolerance. These are what we now call meeting modes. And we're going to ask you to tell us, coming into a meeting, what mode do you want to focus on so that we can make sure that we meet with you in the place where you are. We don't want to have an investment meeting and come in assuming where you're just like, I'm not worried about it. The stock market was up 33%. It's good. I'm not even thinking about investments, but I'm really, really worried about retiring. We're not doing you a service by dragging you through an investments-focused meeting. If that's where you're at, we're wasting our time, but really we're especially wasting your time. So we're going to have, I guess, on the, when you sign up, which increasingly is being done over the internet with sign-up forms, right, Catherine? You'll pick your meeting mode. All right? And that way we have the meeting exactly the way you want it to be. Is that fair? Okay. You want me to do this one? Jason is going to do this part, but she's got a sore throat. Right? Full front. Full front blew in a lot yesterday. Yeah. Blew it all in my ass is what it did. I came in to the house yesterday and there were like leaves in the entryway. I'm not kidding. It was, what the hell? Some kind of windstorm yesterday. Okay. We are changing our portfolio accounting software over from Morningstar, which we have used since 2008. Morningstar has been fine. It's even been good in some things, but they have fallen behind in their technology. A lot of it's on the back end of the software. Servers now talk to servers, and data now moves between servers, and Morningstar has not kept up in that area. And we don't want to be hindered by that. So we are going to a company called Orion, which is one of the major big companies in the area of portfolio accounting for independent advisors. There are 2 or 3 of them. Orion is easily one of the big ones and is widely used by advisory firms like ours and larger ones. They are an independent company, and we have been making this transition over the last 6 months, I would say. We signed our contract with them in the early part of this year, and we have been moving all of the data, including your account data and the history of all of your transactions, into the new system, and we have been running side-by-side audits to make sure that the results are the same between the 2 systems. So for example, when the month of May came to a close, we ran reports for May, and we compared your reports out of the Morningstar reports, which were still the active system look, out of the Orion reports look, which is the system that we're coming into. So this is the typical way that, new accounting systems are brought into place. And I'm pleased to report everything looks very good and fine. We're getting similar results. And so we are proceeding on this. We will be done with Morningstar in January. The report formats, we asked Orion, we gave them our reports, the ones everybody's used to looking at in the Morningstar package, and said, just duplicate these. We like the format. Our clients are used to looking at them. And so make the reports as much as you can look like the old reports. And we're satisfied. And we think you will be too. But if you're not, let us know. And so it's the same quality report and the same accuracy. As I said, we're getting the same performance report numbers and so on, billing numbers, all of it. And so in January 2022, access to your reports, if you've been And not everybody logs into the Morningstar portal. How many of you log into Morningstar to look at your reports here? Oh my gosh.
How do they relate to Fidelity?
Some people look at the print. There's a few in the room. who get print.
Fidelity is a statement. It is not a report of performance. Fidelity has some performance figures there, right? But they're not the official performance figures. They're just not. If you want to see exact performance reporting figures, and it looks like nobody really cares to, but if you do, then these are the reports that you go to. And when you come, so,
I'm just logging into the Fidelity site every now and then.
yeah,
and look-
it's not performance.
Well,
It gives you, it's good information. It gives you a rough idea.
Snapshot.
It gives you a snapshot, no question about it.
The answer is it's going to be changing, so you might as well just get the new system. If you haven't used it yet, we'll get you using it soon.
You know, I could save a lot of money if you just do this. And you come to see us and we talk about performance. These are the reports we have to do. It also does our billing. And so we have to do that. And then one more aspect of it is that the software does our trading and rebalancing. So these are all back office things, but we want you to know that we're making these changes. And so all that's going to happen. And I actually think that you may end up on the new system looking at these reports more. We're going to tell you why in just a second. Right now, actually. So Catherine is going to come up. This is sort of the main part of our presentation right here. We're good on time. Do I get this or you?
Well, I mean, and I'm jumping in as well. I can start.
So NCM 360. Does anybody remember what that is? Good. I get to remind you. We began working on our own client information system. It's been about 3 years that we began to make our own system. There are software systems that are sold to investment advisors by the likes of Salesforce. Probably heard of Salesforce. These are known as CRM systems, right? The customer relationship management systems. There's another company called Redtail that makes one specifically for financial advisors. We found those systems limiting, right? Any of you who've been in business and had CRMs, you probably felt some limitations from them. Right? Why doesn't it gives me phone number, but it doesn't give me fax number, whatever the case is, right? You're trying to track information about your customers and so we felt constrained by those systems, and so we have built our own system. This is unheard of in our business for a small company to build its own CRM system. But we have done it. And we think we have something really, really incredible and unique. Fidelity came and visited us. They came to tell us they were going to give us some tips on how to run your practice. And we said, okay. And they came and started giving us some tips. We said, okay, we want to show you what we've been working on. And we showed them what we've been working on, and they were blown away to the point where they said, we're the ones who have learned today what we should be working on. Most interesting about what we're doing is that most of those systems, in fact, I think all of those systems, the information is shared only within the advisory firm, right? The information system is something that within the advisory firm, personnel there use to look at information on a client. We have created the system to share the information with you, so that you can see your own information. You can see it on your computer, you can get it on your mobile phone, you can get it on your tablet. And what we're about to show you, and nobody else has this, we're about to show you the information that we're going to keep for you. And our goal here is to get you organized, as organized as possible. I am using this because the information is all over the place. And we feel that we are the trusted source to help maintain this information for you. So, what else?
Well, I was going to add to it, as clients, you all know the vast array of information that you share with us. And as Leonard was mentioning, in Salesforce, you might be able to obviously keep contact information and names, but we want, you all share a lot of information with us, and if we don't remember it, then what's the point in telling us, is kind of how I feel. And so this allows us to create new areas if we want, and we have total flexibility of that. Leonard, as our most avid user, as a client user, comes up with new ideas all the time. Coming back from his trip from Greece, we added sections for
Travel.
identification and travel, so you can store. So what we think is really cool about this is it's immediate change. If we want to make immediate enhancements, we can do that. And it's helpful for us to keep and remember and recall your information. And we want it to be helpful for you all as well for your own organization of storing documents and all of that. So there's what else was on the slide, and then we'll go over to a.
These are the different areas where we're sort of the high level areas. Client data, reports, we just talked about investment reports. So the reports that we're generating from that Orion system are going to be stored here. Activities, so tasks that we are working on for you, you will be able to see the tasks that we're working on for you, the whole task list. Meetings and meeting notes, when we have meetings with you, you'll be able to see the meetings that we've had and the history of the meetings and what we talked about at the meetings. What other?
Do we want to jump over and show?
Communication service. Okay. Service requests, we're going to increasingly over the coming years be asking you to submit service requests to us. So if you need something, I need money moved, or I'm having this issue with this account, or whatever it is, rather than emailing us, we're going to increasingly be moving you over to this system so that you make requests there. We don't expect email to go away, but it's not nearly as good of a system because when you have a request, this will stay with your record and we can look back at all the different requests that you have. This is increasingly the way that companies ask for service requests to occur. If you have complaints or you've got technical service request issues, or you've even got enhancements that you'd like to recommend that we make to the system. All of that's going to be able to be done through service requests and also research. So let's go over and show them what the system looks like.
Command and controls.
When is this coming online?
You will, well, immediately. So we're going to show you a little bit about it, and then we're going to talk about kind of an onboarding situation. So
Real quick, just let me just start. Accounts, addresses, all of the different addresses that may be pertinent to you, vacation homes or other things, appliances, we're keeping track. Think how annoying that is to keep track of maintenance and warranties and things on appliances, assets, your budget, your career information and this is for anybody in your family, all family members, charities that are important to you. These are checkups. You know that when you come in to see us, we ask you to fill out a thing of questions for how your satisfaction with your financial health is doing. We store that information. So collections, compliance information, credit, cybersecurity. This is when we first meet, we talk about discovery with you, documents that are important to you, education, elder care preferences and information, entities that you own, limited partnerships or S corporations or C corporations, estate information, event, I forgot what events.
financial events, or events can be anything, weddings, births, anything like that.
A history of gifts that you might make, personal goals, health and medical information, IDs, so,
Driver's license,
driver's license, passports, and things like that. If you're traveling and you
Frequent
lose
flyer
something,
miles,
it's all
IDs.
your frequent flyer miles, income information, insurance information, any of your interests, liabilities. Here's the meetings part, members of your family and the relationships between them, the professionals who are working for you, real estate that you own. Here are the reports that we were talking about coming off of that other system, tasks that we're working on for you, tax returns, travel, trusts, and vehicles. And I'm going to let Catherine now take you through some of those. And we've been continuing to add things like that. Okay.
Well, and I can show you a few of my favorites, but also if anyone is like, you know what, I'd really love to see this, then feel free to jump in. First of all, the accounts is a good place to start. Leonard was talking about the Orion system and how Morningstar wasn't kind of communicating with other systems. Orion does communicate with other systems. So what we've developed in accounts is pretty cool. Let me preface this by saying NCM 360 is not the place to go to see holdings or transactions. That's still going to be Fidelity or any other custodian platform. So that's where you're gonna go to see the detail of it. This is kind of just a snapshot, and it gets everything in one place. So everything that's in Orion, which should be everything, including if we're doing the 401k and bringing all of that in, it will show up in NCM 360. There's some detail here, JC, if you want to click on. So a lot of these tables, they all work the same way. If you click on the first column, it's going to open up a details page. So from here, you can see all the details of this account. What is the account number? Who is it connected to? The members. What type of account it is? Who's the custodian? The value is updated now on a weekly basis. So we have a connection going with Orion. So this value amount will update on a weekly basis, and it shows you the net asset date. So the last time this account, which is a fake account, was updated was August 19th. Your accounts, if there's cash or investments or there's a value to them, that would have been this past Monday. And it will update every Monday and have recent numbers. It shows community property. If you scroll down, there's quite a few of these areas of information that you can also connect documents to that record. So for this account, and this works with a lot of the different areas of the system, but this account, you can have a document connected that's connected to that account record. We also have a beneficiary section in several of the areas. So if you want to make sure that you're keeping clear who is the designated beneficiary of specific accounts, you can keep that information here as well. You can go ahead and close. And let's see, one of the other ones I think is really interesting is real estate. If you want to click on the real estate section. And if you click on Houston Home, obviously you can see some of the details in the table here. But again, you're going to look at the details screen and see everything that's here. Accounts, we're not letting you edit, but we are letting you edit and add records in almost every area in the system. So from here, if you're like, everything looks right, but this actually now is going to be an investment property, I want to change that, you can click on the edit button at the top. And that opens up a form to make, you can just click it, it'll be a pop-up. So you can make the changes to the specific record right in the system. And you guys can do that immediately. And it saves it in the system, and we're setting it up to where we're notified of the changes that you make, so we're all on the same page. But that's an interesting part. So that's how you would edit the record. If you want to open it back up, we talked about documents and beneficiaries with the account section. If you scroll down, we also have this particular piece of real estate is going 100% to the family dog. Obviously, this is our test module. There's also maintenance records attached to several of the areas, so real estate, appliances, and vehicles. We have maintenance sections as well. So if you have a new roof installed, or if you have termite treatment, or whatever it is that you want that's termite or that's maintenance related, you can keep records of that here, and you can have documents connected to that record that's like a receipt or a warranty, anything like that. So it gets really into the details. As much as you want to store, you should be able to store. So just want to close that. Real quick on the meetings and the tasks, we can show you.
Sure.
If you click on, maybe let's do tasks. It's over there. Tasks are our internal work that we do for you. A lot of times it's important for you to know where something stands. It's also maybe hopefully interesting to know what we have done for you in the past. So this is a sample account. Of course, it's not going to be fully built out. But anything that we have, you guys are seeing the same system that we use to manage tasks. So if you click on transfer 35,000, that's something that's pending. The date means that's the date it was entered. So it looks like it was entered last night, which is great. So we can set priorities. What the current status is. You can see who's connected to it. This one is not connected to anyone, so no one's working on it right now, but that's okay. So you can see who's working on it. Do I call JC? Do I call Catherine? Do I call Leonard? Who's
You
working?
also have the ability to add one of your other professionals. So if this is, say, you're working on your some estate tax information, and Kevin Horner is your estate attorney on that, we can attach him as well. And we ultimately see being able to share this information with other professionals so that we can close the loop on tasks that are being done between different professionals. This is a big problem in the professional world. You've got multiple parties trying to work on matters. We think we've solved that here.
You can also scroll up a little bit, JC. A lot of times there's, scroll down, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. A lot of tasks we have a statement or paperwork included, so we can connect documents to specific tasks. And again, that's what we are using to manage your tasks, and we have been using it for 2 years, and we really like it. So hopefully you guys will also really like checking out to see, where is something standing? I asked them to do this, no one's working on it. Oh wait, JC's working on it, she did an update on it, and you can kind of see what's going on. Are we going to go ahead and close? Is there any areas that anyone
Okay, anybody
interested
want
in?
to, anything of interest? Any button?
So how do we scan it to you?
So the documents portion right now, we have not opened that up to you guys yet. So at this point, you'd send us the document and we could connect it. The records you can add and edit yourself, but we're working on the document connection issue. But that's, eventually you would be able to just upload a PDF. So you're on your computer, you download a document, you've got a statement or something you want to send. Are you asking about paperwork, like fidelity paperwork? So we're not doing that yet. That's a good question. But it might be something that we're looking at. There's some compliance issues and security issues from Fidelity with that, but it's a good idea.
So like if we wanted to upload a tax return, we can't do it ourselves right now.
Not on this
but
first,
eventually.
yes, eventually, yes. Are there any other areas? Because I'm going to talk about what the next steps are.
What about vehicles?
Check out vehicles. So here you can keep motorcycles, boats, cars, probably most obvious, but any type of vehicle or motor vehicle that you own. If you want to open up the Ford, I believe the top
That's a
one.
big pain. I'm always,
VIN
they're
numbers.
asking me, what's the VIN number, what's the vehicle history? It drives me nuts.
I think VIN
And
number-
I've been putting all my stuff on here so that when I pull up that vehicle, there it is. There's the history and when I got it, and, all this meddling information. It's very, very handy.
The maintenance is pretty cool in vehicles, so you can remember when you got an oil change or when you had new brakes put in, that kind of thing. A lot of this, when you got your last oil change, doesn't really affect how we do business for you. It doesn't affect how we serve you. So a lot of the fields that we put in are kind of for your convenience. If you choose to use the system, there's really almost endless things. And if you find something that's not in there, let me know, because we can, like, if it makes sense for the full scope of people, we can add it almost immediately. So we have a lot of freedom here. We've built it out a lot on Leonard's use and our personal use of like, wow, why do I always have to look for my, you said on your estate documents, you go to the doctor and they're like, well, what are your most recent medical directives? Okay, I'm gonna search through my email, I'm gonna have to log into some portal and.
I went in for a routine colonoscopy and they said, I'm the day of, and they're like, okay, could you give us your medical directives? And I said, here, to your point of time, and nobody told me, well, we need your medical directives. And guess where I got it?
And you didn't have to call anyone, right?
I didn't call anybody. It's my fault. I picked it up, handed it to her and said, here's my medical directive.
How do you extract information? Can you customize reports, download Excel spreadsheets?
That's interesting. So actually right now you can do PDF printing of a lot of data. So any document that's connected, so like your medical directive or a tax return, that is actually, would you close this and go to tax returns? It's a good, easy example. If there's one connected with fingers, it should be. Go ahead and open up the first line.
Who's are we gonna get?
Maybe Ron Bagdelli maybe.
However it is.
So you see on this tax return, you've got up at the top the details about the return. What year is it? What was your tax loss carryover? What was your filing status, et cetera? Any notes you want to put in about it? And then below is the connected document. Here is the PDF. So from right here, you can open this up. It should be maybe a fake. 1040, or it's a brown bag deli menu. Sample, okay, there you go. So what you're seeing though is this PDF. This PDF is now open on your phone, on your computer, so that is the document. You can then save it, download it, print it, whatever you want right there. As far as exporting records and things like that, if you close this and close that, at the top of the screen, you'll see a print thing, and that will allow you to print all of those records, which may be helpful, maybe not on tax returns, but it might be helpful elsewhere where you want to say, I want to download all of or I want to see a print of all of the meetings I've had with Newcastle. So you can do some exports that way. Okay, that's a good question about the Excel. That's interesting. Print the PDF. That's the main mode of exporting or downloading data at this point.
Let me just jump in and give you some
Oh.
ways that all this information.
Reports would be a good one.
Yeah, in a second,
Okay.
because why this would be useful. Let's say your spouse says to you, what happens if something happens to you? Where's all the information? There it is. Let's say you want to give a report to your executor of your profile to execute your estate. Here it is. Or you want to give loved ones access and give us instructions, and we have Catherine will have to tell me how it works, she designed it, but we can give visitor rights to people who are important to you, your executor, or your children, or your spouse. We can give them a visitation right to get to the system.
And we can do that in a way that we can offer them a filtered view. So if you're like, I want them to see my estate documents and my accounts, but I don't want them to see my meeting notes, or I don't want them to see something. So we can do a filtered kind of abbreviated view for adult children or executors or anything like that.
Or you say, I'd like to get a full balance sheet of all of my assets. It's all in here. And so lots and lots of uses for all this information to make your life easier. Not just the medical directive for the colonoscopy like I had, but even bigger things like making sure that your loved ones know about your picture in the event that something happens to you. It's a very, very important part of it. We have an elder care module there where we ask certain things about what are your funeral wishes, and we're going to continue to build out that elder care module because it's a big issue. People, if something happens to you, is there a place where your wishes would be known? And some people have that, some people don't. I don't. Just don't, I just haven't gotten around to it. But I do know. And this forced me to answer some questions about, even where do I want to be buried? How do I want to be buried? Want to be cremated? I mean, not all of us have expressed that information. And so this system is going to keep all that information. And I'm going to talk about security in a second. It's not lost on us how critical that is. We'll talk about it.
Do we want to look at reports?
Sure, yeah, let's.
So when we moved we are in the process of moving, but part of the process of moving from Morningstar to Orion is we had
Lots.
8-9 years more of historical reports. Obviously newer clients had less, but we had clients going back to, I think, 2007. And those were all in Morningstar. So we had to get them out of Morningstar. And then what do we do with them? All of your old statements are in NCM 360. They are into the reports tab. So you can go back, pull multiple pages. You can do a select here and drop down. I'm not sure how far Jim's sample goes back, but maybe try 2020 or 2019. I think we may have been.
So all those reports that you don't look at, they're right there.
And from here, you can literally just click on your PDF link, open it up, print it, look at it, download it, whatever you want. So one of the goals we had with NCM 360 is we were starting to talk about, okay, Orion logins, Morningstar logins, right?
Fidelity
Capital
logins.
Fidelity logins. We can't consolidate all of them into one, but we wanted to do as much as we could. So we're hoping that because everything's here, more of you guys might look at your reports now because it's in the same place as everything else. So we really wanted to create like a new capital piece of software that not only stores your data, but also kind of facilitates scheduling and can facilitate service requests and all sorts of things. So this is the report section. And then do we want to jump to the service?
Yeah, let's
Show
just
that.
show them what that looks like.
If anyone has anything they're interested in, just
It's early
holler
days.
out. So you're gonna click on service at the top. And so right here, there's nothing in right now, but if you'll click on request service up at the top, so you'll see this on a lot of these tables, there's a plus button up at the top where you create a new record. This is creating a new service request. So we have put in a lot of different types of service requests: administration, advisory, planning, trading, data maintenance, technical, recommend a professional, like we were talking about before, feedback. So if you're like, I don't like it, something's wrong, whether it's NCM 360 or really anything in general, NCM 360 ideas or bugs. So as we release this to you guys, if you're seeing something that's messy or not working the way you think it should, let us know. And then of course, other. What I think is really cool about this is depending on what type of service request you enter, that's who is notified. So administration and planning and trading is going to go primarily to JC, but we're also notified of it. So it's kind of a multi-catch system as well. If you've got an advisory question, it will go to Leonard, but if he's in Greece or whatever, somebody else is going to get it as well. So we can kind of all help each other keep up with things. The data maintenance and technical is going to me, yes.
What would be a transfer of funds?
Transfer of funds would be trading.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, administrative. Yeah. So money movement, something like that, it would be administrative. If you want to buy or sell, obviously we'd be talking trading, but sometimes administrative turns into trading. But anyway, so the type of request you're selecting notifies the right person, and it also notifies the rest of the team as well to follow up to make sure that nothing's falling through the cracks.
We were happy to get your emails, no
Yeah.
problem. We're going to continue to take your emails, but over time, this is where we're going to go. It's more secure, right? Because you're not sending requests over email. We've had some clients who've had their emails hacked. And the hackers have tampered with their emails. And have I told you all these stories? You want to hear it? What the hackers do is they search for information and correspondence between the victim and their financial advisor, us. And they will say, okay, anything going to newcapitalmgmt.com, we're going to hide. They put in a hidden folder in their Yahoo or their Gmail. And so the victim does not know that the hidden folder exists because it's a hidden folder. And then they route anything coming from us to the hidden folder. And then they send us an email that says, please send $50,000 to my London-based account. We've gotten that. And we've said, Sally doesn't have a London-based account. Does she? Nope. And we call Sally and we say, Sally, you don't have a London-based account. And did you send us an email asking us to transfer $50,000 to your London-based account? Sally says, no, I have a London-based account. I didn't send you, And we said, well, then you've been hacked. Your email is hacked. We have been the ones to tell them that their email has been hacked. They didn't change their password, or they've got something watching there, whatever it is. And increasingly, CPAs and attorneys, they don't want email, right? They don't want it. They won't if you send them a file, they're like, you got to go to our Dropbox and you got to put it there, et cetera, et cetera. So continue to take your emails, but we're going to move people toward this. It's a more secure system. Then you're going to be able to see a full record of your own service request. We can see a full record of it, et cetera. There are all kind of reasons why this is a superior way to. I know that everyone's like, I just want to send an email. We get it, we understand. But we're good, we're making this as easy as it can be, and I promise you that you'll like it. It's a long-term project for us to move our service requesting here. Okay, not asking you to do it tomorrow. Keep sending us email. We're happy to get it.
You can do this too. You can try it out. You can say, I'm gonna just give it a shot, see what happens.
Those of you who like this idea, we love it. We want to get this tested more with you. Yes, John.
Well, if someone sends in a service request and you take care of it, and I assume you alert that person through this same system, how do they know that it has logged back in?
You will receive an email that says your service request has been completed by Jason Connolly. And you can then log back in to see what's the result. Most likely, we're going to be communicating with you, especially as we're starting out. We'll probably, if someone put in a service request and said, wire, $100,000 to this, we're going to call you. So there's, we're transitioning towards this. There's always going to be the human element of communication and confirming and confirming when something's completed or there's progress.
And by the way, the gold standard in transfer requests is audio. We know your voice. It's the gold standard. Audio or watching you on a video, right? Even as we just said, email is susceptible, So we foresee, not in the not too distant future, that we're going to talk about what this is built on, but you'll be able to, we assume this is going to be integrated with your cell phone pretty soon, where you're going to be able to say, this is John, I'd like to send $30,000 over to my other account. You'll press a button and it's going to stick it here. We're going to hear your voice. And so the requests ultimately are going to become, for money movement stuff, will become even more secure.
Going to be different than the app we had before? The Capital Client Center?
Oh, that's just on the website, actually. So it's a good question. The website still is, there's some functionality there, but most of it, you are going to be using this instead. The functionality on the website really isn't personalized. There are things that are service that are related there, but it's not personalized to you. We want people to be using this system to see personalized data, personalized services, so.
Can we reach this through the website?
Well, we'll have a link to it, but we can also, go ahead and close this. We're running a little short on time, so we can, let's talk security and also the NAC system. So do you want to, JC, if you can switch back over to the slide. Okay, well, you want to go to the
Yeah, go to-
song? Okay.
So we'll go back.
Okay.
This is huge. I didn't save it for last because it's last. Saved it for last because it's first. Asking you to put your data here. Recognize that that's a big ask in this day and age. We have built this on a system called NACK, K-N-A-C-K. It's a database system. You might think about it as like anybody know what Microsoft Access is? These are database development systems. There are now database development systems that have been developed that run web-based. NAC is one of them, and they're one of the industry leaders. They in turn, that is the development system, and they have made it easier for companies to develop database systems. You don't have to be a guru programmer, and that's what's enabled us to do this. I have a database background. Catherine does not have a database background, but she's extremely technologically advanced, and she has a background in HTML, which is web-based language. And we also have a professional development group that is assisting us as well. And because of that, it's what's allowed us to do this. We don't have to sit and throw requests over to developers who then have to turn it into programming. We do a lot of the programming ourselves. We can add fields, and we can create logic using the NAC system. The NAC system, in turn, resides on the Amazon Web Services platform. Is anybody familiar with Amazon Web Services platform? This is the biggest, most powerful computer system server system in the world. So we are built on NAC, and NAC resides on Amazon Web Services. So we'll go to the next slide. Who is using NAC? We are in good company with our use of the NAC system. Groups like
Spot.
Honda. And
Symantec is the security system.
Symantec. This is what company keeps our security on the Fidelity system that we use. So when we log into Fidelity, when we log into Fidelity, we have a Symantec random number generator that I have to use to get into Fidelity to access your account. They're built on NAC,
A lot of universities.
HP,
A lot of cities.
universities, anyway. So these are groups that are using the NAC system. Many of them in the technology business like HP, ENC Squared, banks like Capital One, Zendesk, which is a help desk group, wanted to make sure that we made a really good choice. And we'll show you where you can get details on NAC security in our system in a second. And then who uses Amazon Web Services? I mean, Facebook. Facebook's a good example anymore. LinkedIn, that all your Netflix, when you download a Netflix video, it's coming from Amazon Web Services, Slack, etc. Harvard again, Pfizer. So NASDAQ. So I really like them. Lamborghini. So what we're trying to say to you is that we have not been profligate or thoughtless in the choice of tools that we have used as we ask you. We would much rather have control of this data than be putting it into Salesforce or putting it into Redtail systems where we are not the keepers and the repository of that data. We believe we are the most trusted source with you. The NAC and the Amazon platform. In the NCM 360 program itself, and by the way, FINRA is one of our regulators as well. And so they're built on Amazon Web Services.
Can you switch back to the demo?
When you log in, and we're going to tell you how you're going to be able to log in, if you go to the FAQ, we have a section on how is my data protected, and we have a whole section that you can go through and read about encryption, backups, redundancy, infrastructure, policies, key policy features.
I think so.
And we have also built some additional redundancy features ourselves to even double up on what NAC is providing. If you have any questions at all or concerns, please let us know. It's very important. We know we're making a big ask. We think, we believe, we know that this is the right way to go about this. Data is out there. It just is. Your data is on systems right now. We want to give you the best place to live. What else?
Did you put a will on here?
Yes,
Absolutely.
my will is here.
So is it an app or it's a web-based thing? So like Leonard went to his doctor's appointment, do you open up an app and it's
It's
there?
the same.
It's web-based right now. We're talking about actually developing a mobile app for your phone, but right now it's on mine, I use a shortcut on my Safari, and I have a shortcut to it, so it opens it right up. You still have to log in, but it appears like an app. So, and I use it all the time because I might go to the post office to mail something, and I know I can't, and I'm like, what was that client's mailing address? And I pull it right up, and it's like, oh, I don't have to ask anyone else, So we all use it, and we all have found it to be very convenient, especially on the phone, mobilely. But we all log in on this first thing in the morning every day when we get to work. So we are using this system internally, and we're hoping that clients will want to use it as well.
I'm gonna bring up my.
Well, he's pulling that up on the frequently asked questions. We're also started this, but we're going to be adding like, how do you do this? How do you do that? So we're going to be adding steps and things like that.
I'll walk around.
That you can
This is-
like
so this is
read
the
to like
mobile.
figure out how to do certain steps.
This is the mobile, right? Right there, and it's, you know, and we have so many buttons. Why? Especially because of mobile. We didn't want to give you menus you had to, we just want you to punch the button. Right, so there it is, all the buttons are right there on mobile.
So does it have
Very simple to use.
two-factor identification thing?
Just
That's a
punch
good
the
question.
button,
They are working on it.
what you want.
We use it to log in as the builders, as the administrators of the platform, and they're in the works to add two-factor authentication to actual users of the app. But we're hoping that they do that soon.
What's
That's
the
kind of the
process?
industry standard now.
What's the process for maintaining all this data, keeping it up to date and making sure it remains useful and that you don't end up in 3 years with a vast scope of outdated?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's kind of multifaceted. I did much of the development of this, and another colleague that we've worked with really went into it, and we really care about the data and making sure it's right, because why have a system if everything's going to be outdated eventually? So internally, we work really hard to make sure data's in, to make sure data's updated, to regularly review the data, to make sure there's not any questions or anything missing. The second part of that is you. So as we grant clients access to this, which is happening now, we need you to also keep, enter, and update your data as things change. There's some areas that may not be as, like one of the things we don't want is we don't want you to assume that because you put a beneficiary in the system, that means it actually is implemented. This is a record-keeping service. So if you need to update your beneficiaries in Fidelity, then you can go over and make sure that it's also updated there. So the answer to your question is we are doing a lot of work on a regular basis to make sure data is kept fresh. And then also, as you are granted access to the system, we need you to do it as well. We are constantly adding data, but we'd never be able to get everyone's, can you go back to the data section, JC?
We don't think that you get good results when it's all you. And we don't think it's good results in data systems when it's all us. But we think that two of us working together, we're going to do the trick.
So when you're given access, and we can talk about that next, you're going to go in and you might see, like you might go to the career section and you might be like, oh, well, they had my job from like 4 years ago.
Or the dates are wrong.
The dates are wrong, the hire date's wrong, or, we have a section in careers that's called job satisfaction. Well, that can change. So you can say, you know what, I don't sound bad anymore. It's a 2, whatever, or 2 to 5, or whatever it may be. So a lot of it's personal data that we may not know. The other thing we're doing is when you have a meeting with us and Leonard takes notes and he says, Jane is not liking her job anymore. We take the notes and we apply that to that data as well. So we might even be taking your meeting notes and making updates to the data so that what you're telling us in a meeting isn't just lingering in the air. It's actually put into the system.
And why do we want to know about your career? Well, for various reasons, but not only because of you. We may get a request from one of our next gen young people. Do we know anybody who's worked in the journalism business? They're interested in going into journalism. And we might search this database and say, John, would you mind talking with this young person who's interested in going into journalism? So we've connected your career experience with the need of another client. And, nobody else has that capability.
So how do you access it? Okay, so let's go back to the slides. And then I think this is the last one. We are ready to release this. What we believe is that it takes a little bit of a personal touch to make that connection, to grant someone access. So what we are doing is we are setting up access sessions. So you get me for 15 minutes on video. This is where you will get the URL, although it's very easy. It's ncm360.com. but you will get the URL, you will get your username and password. During that session, I will ask you to create a new password that is your password, that's not my password, it's your password. And we'll do 15 minutes. Do you have any questions? Let me show you around a little bit, and kind of show you the areas that you're most interested in. We want to keep them short. We don't want to take a bunch of your time. We want to get you the system, get you access to the system, and then kind of do an intro. So that's how, you can go to this right now. And the people at the conference, you guys are getting the first, you're getting the first release. You're first in line. So if you're really interested in this, we're taking appointments starting not next week, but the following week, but you can sign up right now and get that scheduled. And we're excited to release it and get your feedback and get your ideas for new development as well.
And if you don't want to get on, perfectly fine. If you're too busy, if whatever, I'm not interested, that's perfectly fine.
We have this,
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you decide I never want to use that or whatever, perfectly fine. Just that's all.
we have all different kinds of people. I mean, some people might get on here and we're hoping that some people are like, man, I want to get in there, once a week, or I want to be, we've talked about doing reminders where maybe once a month we say, hey, when's the last time you updated your education? Or when's the last time we need your tax returns? One cool section that I meant to show, we're out of time, is the budget section. When you're coming in for financial planning, we're going to want to get your budget. From here, you'll be able to enter your budget directly into the system instead of that Excel spreadsheet some of you guys might have seen before. So we're working on getting everything into the same system. So we know some people want to see all of it and access it hopefully on a regular basis. And then there may be some people who are like, okay. So maybe some in between. Hopefully people who look at their reports on a regular basis, this is where they will go now to get that. So,
but increasingly, you can see we're going to be communicating with you and dropping reports for you and capabilities that we add over time are increasingly going to come through NC3 system. So at some point, it's probably a good idea for you to say, just get my login, give it a try.
So yeah, sign up now, and also if you don't sign up now, you'll be seeing reminders in the journal and probably more outreach to try to make sure everyone knows that it's available. So if they want to do a sign up, we'll get you on the calendar.
We hope you will like this. We think it's a really, really big deal, and it is. Like I said, it's unheard of for, there are big firms that haven't done anything like this. Goldman Sachs, I don't think has done anything like this. Merrill Lynch has not done anything like this. It's an astounding feat for a company this size to do this. We've done it. And Mr. Catherine's help, which has been enormous, and we've done it. And we've done it in part because we used our practice as a laboratory, and I've been demanding about it, and I wanted it for myself. It's what I would want if I were a client. I'm so tired of the stuff being all over the place. It's just adds a lot of stress to your life. All the information, all the stuff we have right now. You can't find it and you need it. It's the worst. It comes at the wrong time. Whether it's where's the thing so you can get the colonoscopy, or you're trying to sell a car and nobody knows where the title is, or there are banks asking you for a net worth statement so that you can get it's just always at the wrong time. And our goal is that this makes your life easier, better, less frantic, less stressful, and that you get benefits like you can rest at night knowing that if something happens to you, it's all under control. Your spouse knows where to get it, and we can work with your spouse to get people what they need because we have access to the information too. We can work with your family in that event. Okay.
On email, just also real quick before we close out, and Leonard probably will close us out for the day.
I think I'm done.
You done talked a lot today. If you haven't already, go to the URL to do the eval. If anyone would like a printed eval, I do have that. Please pay special attention to these sections on what we're doing and what you're interested in that we're doing, old, existing, and new perspectives, so that we know where we should put our effort and where we should keep going. And love to hear from you on how today went. Obviously, we know we had some tech issues, so thank you for bearing with us for all of that. And especially the people at home, our apologies if you're still on, thank you, and we're so sorry. We will make it up to you. We will make it up to you.
The people at home, Kyle, you're still talking to the people at home?
I think there's
So,
still, yeah.
if there is anybody on, what we said is, since you didn't get my morning presentation well or clearly or whatever, I will do it again. We'll do it again in a webinar if people are interested, and I'll make that presentation again. My sense was people thought it was good to hear that, and so I will do it again.
Make sure everyone who wants to listen.
You all felt the tone of that, and got the point of that. It was a lot to throw at you today, and I can't apologize about that. I can only say I appreciate you sticking with us as we gave you this enormous amount of information. We've been working really hard. This is hard work, and I want to thank all of our staff for the hard work, because none of this happens without hard work. So thank you very much. Thanks to all of you, and we'll be in touch.